Uncle Richard's Hamptons estate sparkled with crystal and success as 3 generations of Morrisons gathered for our annual reunion. 12 acres of manicured perfection housed doctors, CEOs, and entrepreneurs, the family's crown jewels displaying their achievements like trophies. Sarah, congratulations on CFO. Aunt Patricia embraced my cousin's wife. $2 billion in acquisitions, how impressive. My cousin David beamed in his Armani suit. The pharmaceutical expansion into Germany required serious financial expertise. Nods of approval rippled through the crowd. Money talked loudest at Morrison gatherings. Michael, Uncle Richard addressed my brother warmly, how's cardiac surgery? Still saving lives at Johns Hopkins. 3 heart transplants last month, Michael replied proudly. They're considering me for department head. More appreciative murmurs. Dr. Michael Morrison, published researcher, conference speaker, family golden boy. What about Emma? Cousin Jennifer asked with polite obligation. The temperature dropped perceptibly. Emma works for the government, Mom said with strained politeness. Processing paperwork. Visa applications. Civil service, Uncle Richard nodded dismissively. Stable work. Good benefits. Cousin Bradley, fresh from Harvard MBA, couldn't resist commentary. Government jobs are fine for people who prioritize security over achievement. Not everyone handles competitive industries. Dad cleared his throat diplomatically. Emma's always been practical. Less ambitious than Michael but reliable. Less ambitious. The casual cruelty hit its mark perfectly. For 6 years, I'd quietly funded their mortgage payments from my diplomatic housing allowance while they dismissed my boring government work. Honestly, Mom continued apologetically, we almost didn't invite Emma. The guest list is exclusive. Doctors, executives, entrepreneurs. We need room for successful relatives. My secure phone buzzed. Advanced team positioned. Marine 1 ETA 1,400 hours. I checked my watch. 1:47 p.m. Emma's job is respectable, Aunt Carol offered diplomatically. Government clerks provide important services. Someone has to process paperwork, Uncle Richard agreed patronizingly. Just not the same caliber as Michael's surgical innovations or David's corporate leadership. Through bay windows, luxury vehicles arrived. BMWs, Mercedes, Teslas. Cousin Andrew's new Maserati gleamed in the driveway. That's achievement, Dad observed approvingly. Andrew's made more this year than most see in lifetimes. My phone buzzed again. Package 1 airborne. Package 1 was Secret Service code for a passenger whose arrival would complicate this gathering considerably. Emma, Mom said suddenly, maybe help in the kitchen? Caterers need serving tray organization. Kitchen duty. Traditional assignment for family members whose careers didn't merit social inclusion. Actually, I need to make a work call, I replied carefully. Bradley laughed. What's urgent about visa applications that can't wait until Monday? Government employees. Michael shook his head sympathetically. Always at bureaucracy's mercy. No real autonomy. Helicopter rotors hummed in the distance, growing steadily louder. Is someone expecting aircraft? Uncle Richard frowned toward windows. The Weatherbees mentioned flying from Manhattan, but not until evening. My secure phone rang. White House Situation Room. Excuse me, I stepped toward terrace doors. This is important. The dismissive glances followed me outside as Marine 1 approached Uncle Richard's helicopter pad, rotors whipping his pristine landscaping into chaos. Hold up. Ambassador Morrison, Chief of Staff Williams's voice crackled through my encrypted earpiece. The president's 15 minutes early. Ready for the security briefing? Standing by, I replied, watching confused faces through floor-to-ceiling windows. Location secure. Excellent. He wants North Korean negotiations reviewed before tomorrow's UN address. Your Seoul summit recommendations were particularly insightful. Inside, Uncle Richard pointed at the approaching helicopter with obvious annoyance. Unscheduled aircraft represented unwelcome intrusion into his controlled environment. Briefing materials ready, I confirmed. Diplomatic security establishing perimeter. Perfect. The president specifically requested your trade sanctions input. Says your economic analysis prevented potential EU crisis. Through windows, Mom gestured frantically while Aunt Patricia covered her champagne against rotor wash. Relatives pulled out phones to record what they assumed was wealthy neighbor dramatics. Marine One touched down on pristine lawn as men in dark suits emerged from materializing black SUVs, taking positions around the estate's perimeter. I stepped inside to find family in various alarmed states. Emma, Uncle Richard's voice carried sharp authority. Do you know about this? Why is military aircraft landing on my property? Government helicopter, Michael corrected precisely. Marine One. Presidential aircraft. Dead silence. The President? Mom's voice cracked. Of the United States? Bradley's Harvard MBA couldn't process the situation. Why would the President attend Hampton's family reunion? This makes no sense. Secret Service agents established security perimeter while White House staff emerged carrying briefcases and communication equipment. This is mistake, Dad insisted. Wrong estate. Wrong family. Presidents don't drop in randomly. Cousin David pulled out his phone, probably planning livestream proximity to presidential power. Secret Service immediately gestured for him to put it away. Ladies and gentlemen, Agent Martinez announced from the terrace doorway, earpiece visible, authority unmistakable. Remain calm and follow instructions. Routine security operation. Uncle Richard stepped forward with accustomed confidence. Agent, there's misunderstanding. Private family gathering. No government business here. Martinez consulted his tablet. Are you Richard Morrison, residence owner? Yes, but... Is Emma Morrison present? Every eye turned to me as Martinez waited for confirmation. Yes, Uncle Richard said slowly. Emma's my niece. State Department employee. Processes visa applications. Martinez's expression remained unchanged. Sir, I need Ambassador Morrison immediately. The President's ready for security briefing. The words exploded like grenades. Ambassador. Mom whispered. Michael's face went pale. Morrison? There's Ambassador Morrison. Emma Morrison, Martinez confirmed professionally. United States Ambassador to European Union, reporting directly to Secretary of State. Complete silence followed. Emma's an ambassador? Bradley strangled out. 18 months, Martinez replied matter-of-factly. Previously Deputy Assistant Secretary for European Affairs. Prior, Senior Advisor for International Economic Policy. Cousin Jennifer choked. The President specifically requested Ambassador Morrison's expertise for tomorrow's United Nations address regarding ongoing diplomatic crisis with European allies. Dad's hands visibly shook. Emma, is Ambassador? To Europe. European Union, Martinez corrected. 27 member nations. Ambassador Morrison oversees all US-EU diplomatic relations, manages staff over 200 diplomats, maintains highest-level security clearance. Uncle Richard's face went white. But she processes paperwork. Visa applications. Sir, you may have misunderstood Ambassador Morrison's professional responsibilities. My phone buzzed. POTUS ready for briefing. North Korea requires immediate attention. I looked around at shocked, confused, horrified faces processing Martinez's revelations. I need to go, I said quietly. Work calls. Revelation. Agent Martinez escorted me toward the terrace where White House staff established secure communication zones. Behind us, family remained frozen, staring through windows at high-level diplomatic operations. Ambassador Morrison, President Hayes emerged from Marine One, flanked by Chief of Staff and National Security Advisor. Thank you for accommodating schedule changes. Seoul's situation accelerated. Of course, Mr. President. I shifted into professional mode my family never witnessed. Latest Brussels intelligence and German Chancellor recommendations ready. Excellent. North Korean proposal assessment. Walking toward secure briefing area, I saw relatives pressed against Uncle Richard's windows, faces showing complete bewilderment. Mom appeared hyperventilating while Michael shook his head in denial. Negotiating tactic, I explained to the President. Testing European resolve before tomorrow's UN vote. Recommend coordinating with France and Germany for unified response. President Hayes nodded approvingly. Aligns with CIA intelligence. Trade implications. Minimal handled correctly. I've worked with EU economic ministers ensuring sanctions packages don't destabilize agricultural markets. Chief of Staff Williams consulted his tablet. Ambassador, German Chancellor called specifically requesting your input on resolution language. Your previous trade dispute work impressed their economic team. Through Windows, Uncle Richard gestured wildly while Aunt Patricia frantically Googled on her phone. Draft language prepared, I confirmed. Key is targeting specific military capabilities without impacting civilian sectors. Brilliant as always, President Hayes smiled. This is why State recommended you for EU post. Economic background plus diplomatic experience makes these complex negotiations possible. Agent Martinez approached with secure phone. Mr. President, French President holding line 1. Specifically requested Ambassador Morrison regarding tomorrow's vote. Put him through, President Hayes gestured for me to take the call. Monsieur le Président, I answered in fluent French. Good afternoon. Concerns about UN resolution language. President Macron's familiar voice. Ambassador Morrison, your Brussels summit recommendations were invaluable. Can you assure me new sanctions framework won't impact agricultural exports? Absolutely. I've worked with your economic ministry ensuring agricultural products remain protected under proposed guidelines. Excellent. France supports resolution based on your assurances. As I ended the call, family had moved outside onto terrace, watching diplomatic operations with expressions ranging from awe to complete confusion. President Hayes addressed my gathered relatives with casual authority of someone commanding any room entered. Hope we're not disrupting family gathering too much, he said pleasantly. Though you should be incredibly proud of Ambassador Morrison. Her past year's work was instrumental in maintaining European stability. Uncle Richard's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Trade negotiations alone probably prevented recession affecting millions of American jobs. Not to mention her recent German diplomatic breakthrough. Chief of Staff Williams stepped forward. Mr. President, we should mention Ambassador Morrison turned down Secretary of State position last month. Said she preferred hands-on diplomatic work to administrative oversight. Secretary of State? Dad's voice cracked. We were disappointed, President Hayes admitted. But Emma's proven our EU embassy is in exactly right hands. Europeans trust her completely, making complex negotiations possible. Agent Martinez approached with another update. Sir, British Prime Minister requesting conference call about tomorrow's vote. Specifically wants Ambassador Morrison's input on economic projections. Of course she does, President Hayes nodded. Emma's economic analysis has been foundation for most European policy decisions this year. As President's helicopter lifted off, leaving sudden quiet of settling rotor wash, family stood motionless on terrace. Finally, Uncle Richard found his voice. Emma, you're United States ambassador to European Union. Yes. For 18 months. Yes. And we've been telling people you process visa applications. Yes. Unbearable silence stretched. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered. I looked around at shocked faces. Same relatives who'd questioned whether I deserved reunion invitation. When would I have mentioned it? Between being told I'm not ambitious enough, or hearing government clerks should stay home. Resolution. Secret Service finished security sweeps and departed, leaving family standing on Uncle Richard's terrace in stunned silence. Helicopter pad showed scorch marks from Marine One's engines. Physical evidence the last hour actually happened. Uncle Richard attempted damage control first. Emma, we had no idea about your position. If you told us you were ambassador, you would have what? Treated me differently based on job title? Decided I was suddenly worthy of family inclusion. Michael stepped forward, medical authority useless here. We thought you worked administrative services. You never corrected us. I tried explaining my work several times. You dismissed it as boring government bureaucracy and changed subjects to your surgical cases or David's corporate deals. Mom's hands shook processing revelations. The money you've been sending for mortgage help, how could you afford that on clerk salary? Ambassadors receive substantial housing allowances. Plus diplomatic pay scales reflecting responsibility of managing international relations. Dad's face showed dawning realization of exactly how much they'd underestimated my career. European Union, 27 countries. You manage relationships with 27 countries. Among other responsibilities, yes. Bradley's Harvard MBA finally engaged. Ambassador to EU. That's one of the most prestigious diplomatic posts worldwide. Economic implications alone. Aunt Patricia emerged from Google searches. Emma, I'm reading EU ambassador position requires Senate confirmation. Security clearance above cabinet level. She trailed off, overwhelmed by scope of discovery. The president said you turned down Secretary of State? Cousin Jennifer asked hesitantly. Position was offered. I declined. You turned down Secretary of State, Uncle Richard repeated numbly. I prefer diplomatic work to administrative oversight. Casually dismissing the fourth highest government position seemed to short-circuit their remaining processing ability. All those times we discussed successful careers, Mom said weakly, all those achievement and ambition discussions. You were comparing heart surgery to international diplomacy, wondering why I couldn't be more like Michael. Michael looked physically struck. I save individual lives. You prevent international crises. Dad rubbed his forehead. Emma, we owe you apology. We've been incredibly wrong about your career. You've been wrong about more than my career. You've been wrong about my value to this family. Uncle Richard attempted salvage with executive confidence. This changes everything. We should celebrate. Open champagne. Emma, tell us about your real work. Actually, I need preparing for tomorrow's UN address. Plus calls scheduled with 3 European capitals this evening. But the reunion, Mom protested. You can't leave now. Everyone wants hearing about diplomatic experiences. I looked around at faces showing desperate eagerness. Same relatives who'd questioned my invitation 6 hours earlier. I'll pass. Conversation would focus on your embarrassment about misjudging my career rather than actual diplomatic work. That's not fair, Aunt Carol said weakly. What's not fair is 6 years being treated like family failure while secretly funding your lifestyle improvements. What's not fair is being told government clerks should stay home. What's not fair is my own mother apologizing for my lack of ambition. Words hung in salt air like indictment. Agent Martinez approached. Ambassador, your secure vehicle is ready. Thank you. I turned to family final time. The president was right, you should be proud. But not because I have impressive title. You should be proud because I've spent 6 years quietly serving my country while supporting family that couldn't be bothered asking what I actually do. Walking toward black sedan, Uncle Richard called desperately. Emma, wait. We can talk. Figure out moving forward. I paused at vehicle door. Move forward? Uncle Richard, you spent this morning explaining why successful relatives deserved priority over government clerks. That's not misunderstanding, that's your value system. The sedan pulled away, leaving family standing where Marine One had delivered truth they'd been too arrogant to discover themselves. Some reunions reveal more than anyone wants to know.